It's Wednesday, so it's time for another episode of Wednesdays with WV. The good news is that the first episode with Jhulan Goswami was received very well. Everybody seemed to have enjoyed it. Thank you for your support. And the not so good news is that in the second episode of Wednesdays with WV, I'll be talking mostly about the prospect of Team India in the upcoming Asia Cup. They're obviously preparing for the biggie, which is around the corner. But that is for later. As of now, I'll just stick to the Asia Cup. And talking of Wednesdays with WV, if you missed the first episode, you can view it on the handles of Sportstar and The Hindu. Every Wednesday, there'll be an episode put up. Don't miss it. Have a look at it. And please feel free to send your feedback and, of course, your comments as well. An extraordinary amount of talent has forced the team management to try various permutations and combinations to try and settle as far as the batting order is concerned. But I don't think that is going to be possible because there's a problem of plenty for Rahul, Dravid and his colleagues. Rohit Sharma, of course, is one who's very positive, would like to ensure that players feel secure and try and zoom in on the slots for each player. But with the kind of talent that he has at his disposal, it's going to be always a question of him wanting to do better and also looking at how to fit in guys in the right slots, because all of them have the ability to adapt, all of them have batted at different positions. So who's going to go where? It's going to be a pleasant headache. Nonetheless, it's going to persist for a while as far as Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid are concerned. Let's look at it in another way. If you have Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma opening, then you got somebody like Suryakumar Yadav, who is obviously fantastic in this format. Then you have the likes of Dinesh Karthik, then you have Hardik Pandya, you have Rishabh Pant, you have Huda, and you got a lot of options, as far as Team India is concerned. Now, let's not also forget the fact that KL Rahul has done tremendously well in all the formats. The reason why he may perhaps not get a game is primarily because he's not in the best of form from what we saw when he played in Zimbabwe. And he's also been out of cricket due to various issues, injuries and then COVID. And that is not something that a player can escape from or he can do anything about it. But you cannot have two batters trying to return to form in the top 6. So there is a whole lot of batters who can deliver for you, and that being the case, it will be a case of somebody having to sit out if only to ensure that the team is really well packed when they take the field. Yes, that's a very tough question to answer, but the thing is that if you got to give somebody an opportunity, which you've done for a period of the last 2 years, or whatever number of days or whatever number of matches that there are, you would rather give a chance to Virat Kohli based on that. And secondly, he's been playing continuously except for the fact that he's taken breaks. He's not been out of cricket and he's not been injured, which means that he's in touch with the game, he's training hard, he's trying to work out a method so that he'll come back to form when he gets onto the field next time. You can always argue that yes, one of the other youngsters can sit out to fit in KL Rahul, but it's a case of what it is the team management is going to do. Are they going to start with a generation of cricketers who are going to be playing all the time, who have been brought up on duration cricket, or you are going to start with cricketers who have been brought up in this T20 format? If you talk about the likes of Suryakumar Yadav, Rishabh Pant, they've always done well in white ball cricket and they've been brought up to play in a very aggressive fashion, whereas the likes of Virat Kohli and KL Rahul, they are adapting to this white ball format more than probably Pant and Suryakumar Yadav. In their case, it's a question of them having to try and do a different thing altogether when they play red ball cricket. So you cannot talk much about his technique. He is one who has played for a long time, who has performed tremendously well in all the formats, and at that level it's more about what is going through your mind And as far as that is concerned, it's only the player who will know about it, because he is one who's always wanted to excel, who's always wanted to be the one to take the team forward. He's shouldered the responsibility from his under 19 days. That's his nature. And sometimes what happens is that being too keyed up is also not going to be an advantage. In as much as you're experienced, in as much as that is in your DNA, sometimes your strength can be your weakness. So perhaps it is time for Virat Kohli to try and see what it is that is not allowing him to be at his best as far as form is concerned. It could be the smallest of things. I remember many years ago, Greg Chappell made a small mistake of not really watching the ball. I'm not saying Virat is doing that now. I'm saying it's a small thing, but yet it can make a huge difference. Yes, maybe even in the thought process or in his mindset, there might be some link that is missing, which has been always a constant in Virat Kohli's cricketing career so far. But if even one small link is missing, whether it is in mindset or whether it is his technique or in his tactical plans that he sets out when he walks out to bat, only he can know that and only he can address it. Once he identifies that, it's easy even for him to address, and that's where it's all stands at the moment as far as I'm concerned. See, when you have a lot of explosive options in the side, in the squad, and if he is looking at trying to make a comeback as far as form is concerned, not making a comeback into the team, you would rather give him the option of batting 20 overs, because once he takes some time, if you were to look back at his career, when he started off in the ODIs, he took his time first up and then he compensated later on in the innings and made his centuries. And that was his template as far as getting hundreds is concerned, getting runs in the ODIs is concerned early on. Now it's a situation where he's got to find some form and find that rhythm and be as dominating as he can be, which means that you try and give him the option of batting the entire 20 overs if possible, and that's only happening if you send him at the top of the order, not in the middle order. Anchoring, I think, is out of question, because you got other options who can really go after the bowlers right through the innings, and it's okay for somebody to bat a little bit slowly than the rest when he's going to open the innings and play right through the innings. I'm sure if somebody like Virat Kohli bats 15 overs, he is not going to be really getting runs at a strike rate lesser than 130, 140. I think that is what I would do. They seem to have relied a lot on the spinners. That's the reason you got Ashwin, Chahal, Bishnoi and Jadeja in the setup. So spin is going to play a major role there as far as Team India is concerned. Yes, what is happening with the pace attack is that they got a lot of experience in Bhuvi, and they brought in Ashdeep, who's acquitted himself really well. He's got all that is expected of a young seamer, and that too, as a left arm seamer, he provides a lot of variety. He's got the Yorkers, he can bowl at any time of the innings. There are some bowlers who are good first up, there are some who are good in the death, but the young left arm seamer has shown that whenever you throw him the ball, he is going to do a good job for his captain. So that's a rare quality for a fast bowler to have, and that too, to find it in a very inexperienced young man. And of course, Avish Khan is rated very highly. He is on a learning curve. They are giving him a lot of leeway because they find a lot of promise in him, and that's the reason, even if he is not really living up to expectations as far as economy rate is concerned, he is being persisted with. And this is the kind of confidence a bowler needs, regardless of the fact whether he is experienced or he is not. A bowler needs to enjoy the confidence of his captain, and that is what is being provided to him by persisting with him. The message is very clear: go on, son, you carry on doing whatever you can, we will back you all the time, and that is critical. As far as the spinners are concerned, yes, Chahal, you know what he is capable of doing. He's been doing phenomenally well in the T20 format. Ashwin is experienced, yes, even though there are a lot of people who are surprised that he's come back into the side. Jadeja, of course, provides everything that a cricketer can. He can bat, he can be brilliant on the field, he'll bowl you overs wherever. and then Bishnoi. And Bishnoi is one who is totally opposite Chahal in the sense that he bowls quicker, he bowls more of googlies. So that way there's a little bit of the Mushtaq Ahmed that we used to see from Pakistan some years ago. All in all, I think there's good variety, and when you're talking about Indian bowling now, you cannot forget Hardik Pandya, because he started bowling and he's shown that he's really become mature. And what has happened to him is that after the injury, he's sat and thought about his cricket and the way he's performed in the IPL. Now you can see a lot of maturity in his cricket, and he's enjoying the responsibility. And that exuberance is still there that he had before the surgery, and what we saw of him when he first burst into the scene. It's a good combination, exuberance with experience, also wanting to be responsible as well. That is a fantastic combination, and that too, if an all-rounder asset is going to provide a lot of balance, is going to change the dynamics of the entire team. I think somewhere in a serendipitous manner they'll get it right. I'll tell you why. Because what has happened with openers being successful for India is just always been a case of finding out the candidate by accident. Now let's talk about Virendra Sehwag in Test cricket. He was tried out opening, he was a middle order batter. Let's talk about the famous opening partnership that India has had for a long time, Ganguly and Tendulkar in white ball cricket. They were middle order batters as far as red ball cricket was concerned. Rohit Sharma was a middle order batter. He's gone on to open. Now he's opening he's obviously opening in all formats. So which means that it's been a case of middle order batters succeeding at the top of the order. I have not, I don't remember many the other way around, openers coming down to the middle order and succeeding. But pointed answer to your question is that the reason why they've been trying out is because of sheer circumstances. It's been a case of a slide in form with a few youngsters, or it's been a case of trying out different combos based on the pitches that they're playing on and also against the opposition that they're playing on. Now you got to play Dinesh Karthik. This is not to say that you should not play Rishabh Pant alongside him. The reason why I say Dinesh Karthik has to be played is that everybody is gung-ho about the fact that he's worked out a different dimension as far as cricket is concerned, and then he's obviously been a rage in the recent past, and then a specific role has been allocated to him. After all this, you need to play him, because if you don't play him, what are you going to do when it comes to picking a side for the World Cup? You need to try and play all these players and see what it is that they're going to do. Are they living up to the tag that is being handed out to them? Are they going to perform the role that you got in your minds as far as they are concerned? So that needs to be kind of settled before the selectors sit and pick the team for the World Cup. Because Dinesh Karthik is come back into the side after a gap, and he's come back into the side for a specific purpose. So if you don't play him, then I think whatever has happened in the preceding months will amount to nothing. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen him, because he's exciting, he's really good. He can really sort of create that buzz, that anticipation and the excitement, not only for his fans on the other side of the border, but even for this side of the border. People are always kind of, getting into a little bit of an anxious state when he runs into bowl. Now that is what you want to see. You want to see all these elements on a cricket field, and those kind of battles is what makes an India-Pakistan encounter that spicy, that exciting, and that's the reason you would see there's no end to the arguments, the debates that happen after India-Pakistan match. These elements have to be there. Sri Lanka is a good side, because they've been doing well of late. They're settling down as a side. It's a young side, and they've got a lot of talent there. Given the fact that they're going through a very difficult phase in other ways, the performances of their national side in the recent past has been a kind of a balm for the entire nation. I would not take the Sri Lankan side lightly at all. I would look forward to a clash between Pakistan and Sri Lanka as well. I think all these games are going to be really interesting because there is no advantage for anybody of playing at home, and you get what you get at the venue that they are playing. So it's going to be interesting series of games. The important thing for him is to whether he picks names and then he allocates slots, or he finds out what is required for a player to belong to a particular slot and then attaches a name, because it can be different 11s using these two methods. Not at all. Carry on with whatever you are doing, and the reason I say that is because he's kept everybody interested. He's also chatted, obviously, from what the players talk about him in the interviews, and that's very important for a captain, and they seem to be a settled lot. Just continue with that, Rohit. Everything will fall in place. Oh, I'm very keen to see how Virat Kohli plays.